Great, it is 6:30. We are going to start our work session. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Right, first up, it looks like
You.
are we going to do by oath of office?
Yes, we are ready to do the oath of office, yes.
You, sir, okay? Thank you. Okay,
I, teacher Newell,
I think it can be.
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington and the laws of the state of Washington.
Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Washington and the laws of the state of Washington, and I will faithfully discharge, did I go too far?
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the Washington School District number 112 Director 1 to the best of my ability.
And I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Washington School District number 112-6 Director District 3 to the best of my ability. Bring it all up.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
Yeah, congratulations.
thank you. I'm back again. Another 4. Thank you. It is a privilege to be on.
Thank you for correcting me on that.
Well, lucky number. All right, next up we have our wonderful student. Okay, hello.
All right, so we know that we heard from both of our reps that aren't going to be able to make it today, and why. So Jacob and Marley, thank you for being here. And I had shared with them just so clearly we were on break for 2 weeks. We were approaching the end of the semester. Jacob has some information to share about something that he is organizing as a legislative session started on Monday. And it's really a visit to Olympia and a day on the Hill. And Marley, I asked Marley to share some information about like what's happening right now as we're approaching the end of first semester and possibly what's happening right now at the high school. So Marley, do you want to start?
Sure. So I wanted to share kind of a differing opinion on AI because I know that's been a topic lately with being in some new guidelines for next year. And I wanted to share how AI is negatively impacting us and I think that we should be more cautious introducing this into the education system. And this is a current concern not only shared by me, I know it's shared by other students at our school, even though it's not majority opinion. And I think that it should be addressed as we move forward. And I'm not sure how well informed everyone is about the impacts of AI. I've been doing some research myself recently, and AI has been proven to negatively impact the environment as well as the user's brain function. So in reference to the environment, a study showed that every 100 word prompt to ChatGPT uses roughly 500 milliliters of water to cool the AI food systems. And it also emits greenhouse gases, which contribute to global warming. So asking AI to write you an email, which is seemingly simple, is equivalent to dumping out a plastic bottle of water. And then in reference to cognitive function, a study by MIT showed that over a couple months, a wide range of people wrote essays using ChatGPT and without, and there was significantly less brain activity in those who used AI. And at the end of the study, the participants were simply copying and pasting what ChatGPT gave them. Extended use of ChatGPT caused weaker brain activity and a decreased sense of motivation. And then another thought that someone personally shared with me is that they felt that when AI is used in school, a setting where you're supposed to be motivated to learn for your future career is contradictory because students are seeing their teachers use AI, which suggests that they can in the future as well. So what's the point in learning? Personally, I agree with this person's concern, and I don't think it's right for AI to be used in a place where you are supposed to learn because AI does all the hard parts for you. It's true that we're more productive when we're using ChatGPT, but at what cost? And then relating this back to our school district and what we are planning right now, I do agree with making guidelines because I think that the use of AI is inevitable and it is the future. Potentially teaching students how to use it correctly is important. I think that encouragement is wrong because while AI is free to use financially, it has underlying greater costs. And I just wanted to reinstate that I'm not the only student who feels this way. And I know you've heard a lot about how AI is the future from students and other people my age, and that we need to accept it, but not everyone feels that way.
Your thoughts about us sending out a survey, getting that type of information potentially, as well as information from students. So would you recommend us doing that?
Yeah, but I think also the reason why some students may not be as concerned about AI is because they don't know these things. I feel like this is not something that's talked about enough. And if we're gonna introduce AI into the education system, I think that there needs to be more information about this so people know what the cost is of simple uses.
I saw that MIT study,
Yeah, me too.
quite concerning.
Yeah.
And the energy impacts, I think, is it's real and it's going to start impacting housing, the cost of living and use of fossil fuels, everything else.
Yeah.
But it is here and it's technology like a calculator was new at one point. And I see now 50 years later, many students your age can do all the math they want to on a calculator, but if they have to make change, it's a very challenging math problem of subtracting 7 from 100. And that's, you need stuff in there to be thinking with, not just spouting stuff. So I appreciate your perspective. Okay.
Any other thoughts?
I think that it's helpful to get feedback like that, but I think you're absolutely right. We definitely need to do more research and listen to what, not just listen to what you guys have to say, but do our due diligence and not just going with the flow and saying, yep, it's coming. But are we doing it the right way?
Proper guardrails, I'd say these. I think
Yeah. It's here, but it doesn't mean we have to jump on and not totally get, I don't know, all the information.
pointed out in the over in Hathaway, AI doesn't do creativity. It doesn't do critical thinking. And both of those are human activities that have got our society where we are, whether it's a great place or not, it's another question, but likely to continue providing the change mechanism for change as time goes on.
I really appreciate you articulating some of the costs, whether it's with energy demand or the costs on individuals, and what you're describing, creativity, like who's doing the work, and the idea of what's being modeled. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Anything else?
Do you think there are students that would want to be involved in developing the policies?
I think so. Yeah. I think it just needs, I think that just needs to be a variety of ideas and perspectives on it. Sure.
So we met with our student reps, before break, it was probably a month ago. And Les was a part of that with Mr. Castle. And we talked about developing a proposal of a policy. So we are currently working on that. And so we want to include more voices. Certainly we have 4 student reps that are contributing. It sounds like you're going out and you're getting additional information and you're doing some research. So it's excellent. So thank you. So we're working on some policy language. Anything else about that's happening before you go? We're getting ready for first semester to be over, right?
as far as ASB goes, we're working on planning for our Sadie Hawkins dance right now, which is our winter dance. This year, it's going to be more informal. The theme is rave, so it'll be like neon, super colorful. Yeah.
You're named after me.
Come chaperone if you want.
Oh, hey, there we go.
I have to be a chaperone.
Recruiting, yes.
So that should be fun. I'm pretty excited. Yes.
When is that?
It's February 7th.
Great. Okay, Jacob.
Okay, so I, about, probably a month and a half ago, like really late November, begged and pleaded with Miss Rice or Margaret Rice, the CT director, to let FBLA go on a field trip to the Capitol in February. And she was like, well, how about this? February 4th is CTSO Advocacy Day, which CTSO stands for Career Technical and Student Organizations. So that's CT clubs and classes. It's on the 4th. That's in February. That's when you want to go. If you plan this activity for the whole CT department, I'll pay for your bus. And I said, that sounds like a great deal. And so over the last month or so, I've been working with her and Rose Rupp, our career counselor, as well as the legislative assistants of Mayor Stevie / Representative Stevie and Representative Waters to kind of plan the whole thing. And so I'm happy to announce that we are confirmed going on February 4th to the Capitol. We have 22 students signed up to go. It's looking like it might be closer to 17 students actually attending. And that's assuming that doesn't alter until then. And we have 4 adults going, I believe. And so we're going to go up there. It's kind of an all-day activity. We're going to meet with Stevie and Waters in 2 separate groups at the same time. We're going to get a private tour from Representative Stevie's legislative assistant. She's very nice. Her name's Holly, and she's giving us a private tour. And then we are going to take a main tour. There's going to be a little section where we will learn a little bit about like the legislative process, how that works. Because part of the trip is education. But anyway, the main meat of the trip is to go talk with our representatives about why the CTE funding that they give us from the state is important, and like kind of like the teacher / student impact it has, right? And then to kind of just advocate for more funding and continued funding, because we've had, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I can't give them to you. But we've had funding cut because of the state budget being in a $16 billion deficit last year. And so a lot of CT money got reorganized and reallocated. And so we have a lot less money, and that affects our ability to hire teachers, make sure the kids have all the materials they need, and also just stunts club opportunities, right? FBLA hasn't, I mean, not even like Washougal High School, but FBLA gets money from the state for that. And I mean, at our conference this year, they literally didn't have the money to have a keynote speaker. And so they had to improvise. So it impacts more than just our kids. It impacts kids across the entire state. And that's kind of the idea, is that the whole state can come together. But we are specifically meeting our reps and asking them for more money for us, because we're way more important. But yeah, so that's kind of the gist of the whole trip.
Okay.
Is it going to be, is the House or Senate going to be in session?
Yeah, they are. We have to work around their schedule, but hopefully we can go watch them.
Yeah, it's cool to watch them.
Yeah.
It's even for an adult, it's good to watch them.
Anything else?
Well, I guess I could let you know that we have our info night meeting thing on next Thursday. So if you wanted to come and kind of just sit in and watch like what we're doing, you're more than welcome to. It'll be in the career center at the high school, kind of like right after school. So that'd be kind of hard for your schedules, depending. But yeah.
Any other questions, wonders for our student reps? All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Next up, we've got our board and superintendent update.
Oh, yeah, that's what we got.
Who would like to go first?
See you guys. Thank you.
Jim, let's let you go first.
I have nothing to.
Nothing? Not a thing?
No,
All right.
feels good to be back home.
Yeah, you've been gone for a while.
I just got back from Costa Rica and I got nothing either. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Yeah, short
Okay,
one today.
You don't always have to have a lot.
Two things. One, still gonna keep my goal of having an AI policy ready to go come September. Please.
It just strengthens the
Yeah, and the
case.
citizen comments that we just had that was like, hey, we should probably do this as a bit more of a roundtable and get some educators in there and get people really talking about it. So survey for sure, but then talking about it after the survey, right? If that makes sense.
Comment on Paul's idea. I think having a forum, public forum with some expert that can come in and help inform, not one of us.
Yeah, that's a great.
Something that might be a draw for people in the community that are interested and would educate everybody.
Yep. Great. Anything else?
My second one was, can you remind me of the school calendar update that we were looking at? There was a survey that went out to.
Yes. Yeah. So there were two surveys that went out. The first survey went out. The purpose of that survey was to really establish what the community was interested in as far as specific, maybe a start date, different holidays, different breaks. And then we developed multiple options. There's 3 options. And so we had a committee that met. That committee met, was it last week or the week before? Must have been last week. On the first day back from break, that Monday, we met here. We had 3 middle school students, 2 high school students. We had a number of different labor groups represented, district leadership staff. And so we went through and we identified a specific option based on our kind of the feedback, the data that we had sent out. The second survey, we had 500 plus participating. So we felt really good about that.
Wow.
So that's families, students, and staff. And so right now we're waiting because we have some neighboring districts, one specifically that we believe is going to be making a decision on their calendar. And so when we look at waiting, how do we make this decision? It's the survey results. It's also what are our neighboring districts doing, as we have a number of staff, community members that are like connected to those districts. So we are waiting. This board, you will receive a recommended option at the first meeting in February, and then hope that the ask will be to make a decision at the second meeting. So we will present that information to you in the first board meeting in February. So right now there were 3 options. We discussed all 3, but there is particularly one that the committee was interested in. Yeah. Jane.
I do, just when I hear about the committee, because I love that we're involving students in it. But when I think about the other part of the community that's going to be involved and just when a lot of these meetings take place, it's working parents.
Yeah.
And some of those schedule options, I know as I looked at them, like I work remote, so it doesn't impact me as much. But if I had to drive to a job, like that's vacation time you have to take. And it's very different when you're adding additional weeks and additional days within the midst of the year versus when they're all congruent, like in a longer summer. Et cetera.
Sure. Yeah.
So I sometimes get concerned that while we're hearing the student voices, we're making sure that we're hearing those parent voices, particularly those who can't attend during working hours.
Right.
And is there a way we can incorporate them beyond even the survey?
Like inviting them to the committee.
Yeah, or
Sure.
figuring out a way that they can be present and have their voices heard and voice their opinion. Because I do worry that just with, and I know part of this is just the business hours that we keep, but we do just automatically exclude a significant portion of folks that can't take off at 3 o'clock and be at places.
Sure.
So I don't know, future state, if there's
Sure.
something that we can try and.
Yeah, I think we definitely could, that's something we could incorporate maybe into a listening tour event as we historically make this decision right around this time. And what's interesting in hearing your perspective is we go back a few years and it was the committee. And then we've started seeking input. And this year we had never reached out, I don't believe, to students and families and staff all in a survey. So we've gathered more information than we really ever have. But I appreciate there's an ask for more opportunities to share. We saw more people participate in the second survey than the first survey. The first survey had some questions, but it lacked an example. So a question about, do you want school to start before or after Labor Day? And, response, said after Labor Day. Well, do you see where Labor Day is? So Labor Day is late. So that would be as late as we've ever started, or, in my memory.
Mhm.
That, so, because where it ended up. So you then provide like 3 calendar options and you see how the year looks.
Yeah.
But I also understand and what came up, the feedback that came up, I think, representing what you just said, the impact on families when there's a break in school that's different than where it's historically been. So us making the decision earlier helps in families that are planning not only vacation, but planning around their work schedule.
Mhm.
And to know that Camus and we believe Evergreen, I think that's the Evergreen's the one that they are presenting about this same time, I think, their calendar. And then Hawkinson there and Camus are on this, a break in February, a break, 2 extra days during Thanksgiving week. So more districts in the area are moving in that direction. It doesn't mean that we have to.
Sticking with that.
No, it doesn't,
Yeah.
right? So but this is what appears to be something that is, this is a change that's what's been happening
Yeah.
previously. So, we are looking at the survey results. And again, as we took those survey results, the second survey, 500 plus participants, we break them into individual groups, and each group overall chose the same one. So we look at it different ways. But again, I absolutely hear what you're saying. And as we're gathering information, there's another opportunity for families to contribute their input other than through the survey, especially if we have a meeting.
Can I piggyback on that really quick, kind of to what you were saying? I did, and I know this sounds kind of silly because everybody in our community knows you can email anybody at any point. But because like Jane was saying, it's hard for people to get into different roundtable, different time. We're never going to be perfect. There's never going to be the right time for everybody, right? And people are in different locations. But when we maybe do these roundtables or we send out this information, make sure people know that emailing us with information is always an option. And I know that sounds silly, but somebody actually brought that up to me and I was like, yeah, even though people know you can, it's just a good reminder. If you can't make it, this is always an option to,
Questions,
questions or whatever. Here is everybody's email.
Yeah.
I know that sounds redundant in a sense, but I think people just
Sure.
kind of tend to
Yep.
forget that really is an option.
That's a good reminder.
So, and I wish that was me. Somebody actually brought that up to me. So I'm just
Gotcha.
reading that.
Okay, Paul, so that was your second item.
I guess so that we had the first one's meeting, but the same one was too.
Yeah. Yes, and Jim and Jane didn't have anything to say.
Yeah, so you just.
Yeah.
You're good.
Sure,
Is that it?
I'm good.
Do you have anything to say?
No, I think I could just segue into the legislative conference so I'll just wait.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay,
I really don't have anything to say either tonight. Welcome back. I'm excited to start this new year with everybody and as much as we will miss Jim, but thank you for coming.
Be someone else here.
I know, right? But yeah, that's it. So I'm excited to hear about our legislation.
great.
Conference.
All right. Well, and I shared with you my presentation. So you actually, sounds like some of you had a chance to look it over. So the first slide is just recognition. The WSD recognizes like January is, we're celebrating your contributions to the school district, and WSD is recognizing all school board directors. So we're celebrating your input, your participation, your generosity, your volunteering, your altruism for the whole month. Okay, for the whole month. So I appreciate working with you. I appreciate your commitment to this district, to this role that you all take very seriously. So thank you for that. So we do have some gifts. So we have cutting boards from our students at the high school. So I'm gonna ask you to choose your cutting board. We didn't really think through this. We're hoping it'll go in a civil way. Because this choice.
Well, you know, my birthday was just Saturday. Does anybody really care?
We can look at your
Run it out.
position. We can look at all sorts of
There's
different ways.
I don't-
Alphabetical by
So
last name, yeah.
Newest member first.
No, these are for you.
Okay,
You have a wonderful cupcake.
I love
It's
it.
from our, the CTE department, Margaret Rice and her leadership providing those.
Very-
We also have,
Holy cow.
Feel very spoiled, you guys.
so we have for you, here's yours, Sadie. A little something for you. Ida, here's yours. A little sweet treat. And then, thank you.
Like you guys know, made it my heart.
And then a portfolio
that's nice.
to organize your materials for your computer, so your computer fits.
You know what? I
Chromebook.
got my bigger
It's-
one now. I don't. think
That
it's
probably
in
won't
it.
fit in.
I'm so sad.
Now, don't also put your charger in there. That will compromise the shape portfolio. So then I want you to look and see what's inside. Is we shared this survey. We asked people to share a statement of gratitude for your efforts.
Oh, that's nice.
So right now, that survey is still open. It's gonna be open for the month. So we'll keep providing updates, but there are some really thoughtful statements of appreciation for what you do. It's noticed, not just by the district office team, not just by the building principals who provided you breakfast or dinner, excuse me, dinner could be breakfast, but that's not breakfast, but dinner tonight after the listening tour. So thank you for all you do. And we'll just continue to celebrate you this month.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. I can't wait to read these again.
Okay, so a couple other things. So the session started today, yesterday, the legislative session started. We're gonna be going over in detail our experience at the conference. But so it started Monday. It's a 60-day session. It'll end March 12th. That's the plan anyway. So looking forward to see what happens. What we've heard regarding the budget is not optimistic.
Oh,
So we heard that. We'll share a little bit about that, kind of our experience that we had. I want to share with you that, and some of you, we talked a little bit about this. We're connected to a Senate bill. And that Senate bill, we worked with Senator Harris, thanking him and his team. Senator Cortez is the main sponsor of the bill. There's a portion of that bill that it's like his contribution, there's our portion, and they were combined. So there was a hearing today. So I had an opportunity to follow along through that hearing. I got to contribute as I testified this morning. I appreciate the support that we received from Senator Harris, Senator Cortez, and again, their team. We'll see how that goes. But I think it's our recognition, and what, again, we'll talk about in a little bit, is what we're desiring is flexibility during these challenging times. As I said today during the hearing, we've made challenging decisions. We've had to. And so I feel like we're looking for flexibility. I think we believe we found we have funds available to us that would allow us to meet the statutes that are currently in place that we're required to meet, that are unfunded. So I just appreciate the support you provided, your interest in maybe going on and seeking more information about this Senate bill. I have copies if you're interested. I actually just want to hand these to you now. So this is a pretty nice description of this Senate bill that we'll be tracking.
can I ask a question about that?
Of course.
Anyone raised the issue of fairness? I mean, that's, for me, it really is an issue of fairness that as a home buyer, at a certain period of time, I support the infrastructure of the school district. 6 months later, home buyer gets off the builder really gets off without supporting infrastructure.
Yeah.
And to me, it just is not fair.
Yeah, so, so
Some
that, yeah,
developer who happens to build in 2024, it doesn't pay.
right. Yeah, so that did not come up. What came up was just about this, the intent of this statute. And by this proposal then compromises the original intent. And what we presented was, well, we're a school district that was receiving these dollars, no longer collecting impact fees since 2023. And just the way it worked with our enrollment, the timing of that, other things we were dealing with, right? And so we're asking again for flexibility.
Yeah.
But that, to your question, that did not come up in the testimony or during the hearing that I was
Okay.
observing.
So will there be more? Cause I know there was an opportunity to provide comment or pro con.
Yeah, and you still, no, I believe you still can, but the actual hearing did close.
Yeah.
What I don't know is if you can continue to provide.
I think it was just
Feedback.
24 hours after
Today,
today, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I read.
Yeah.
I was.
But you know,
Any organized groups opposed to this?
yes.
Yeah.
Well, groups, there were people that testified and then there was a number of
Yeah.
individuals listed.
Mhm.
And so that's all available. And you see that then who represents the pro, who's supportive of this. And back to your question, though, we can still always send email
Yeah,
to our legislative representatives and their assistants. And you can call them and you'll probably get their assistance. So there's a variety of ways. Again, the session just started. And I really appreciate our local legislative representatives. I find them to be accessible, to listen. And so one of the things that I don't know if I'd share this with you, but I am interested in shadowing a representative for the day. And I think I would have an opportunity to do that. And just as Jacob was talking about what they're going to be doing for the CTSO that day on the Hill, I'm going to be going with them to just, because I did that last year when Unite was there. And so I'm going to continue to do that. I think it provides context to what's happening, empathy for our legislative representatives. And then many of these, many of the decisions that we made are going to impact us directly. So I just want to know as much as possible. And I think you can email our representatives and share not only ours, but Senator Wellman, who's the chair, and share your thoughts.
is it accurate to say that the opposition is representing housing developers?
Yes. Yeah. I would say so.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next slide, and again, you have access to this. So this one is the pictures on the right. I will get to those in just a minute, but just so you know, and as you heard earlier today, Les and I and the team, we've been going through and sharing information, facts about the levy. And so we've done close to 16 of these. It'll be closer to 20 when we're all said and done. And so most of those were within our booster groups, and our staff are hearing this message. I'm also presenting later on to Rotary, the Chamber. And so can just continue to share this information. That's the upcoming engagements. And then interesting that during one of our recent presentations to a booster group at the Cape, what was shared was a concern about our baseball field. So the graphics are just from these opportunities for us to share this information. It's similar to our listening to it today. It was communication going back and forth. And so there are questions that are asked, there's input that we are taking, and we add this information to the FAQ website so that it's available for other people who might have a similar wonder. And so we appreciate like today's contributions of people that we doubled the number of people coming to a listening tour. Okay, again, all of our booster presentations, those have gone really well in sharing this information. So I appreciate this. Is that the pictures again are just, this is what's happening right now. This is the varsity softball field. So what we're doing is we're removing about 3 inches, 2.5 inches of the infield on 4 fields, 2 baseball fields, 2 softball fields. We're gonna replace this dirt that we're keeping with the diamond dust, which you approved the purchase of that. So that is on its way right now, and because the weather is cooperating, so we were able to get on this. That was yesterday. Today they were out there. So this is the plan. So our varsity, JV baseball and softball fields will be playable. We're also doing work on our dugout, so
For spring?
for spring.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this is like a phase, this is phase one of multiple phases because the growing season is really during the baseball,
Yeah.
softball season. So there will be things that we do after with overseeding, continue to aerate, continue to weed and feed. So the multiple steps that
It's a
are
lot
necessary.
to
So
go.
yeah, and so I appreciate, again, the opportunity to share this information. And then we're just gonna continue to share that there's a levy, there's a special election, it's February 10th. And so the more people that know and can share that message, we'd be like the better. Okay, so this is a follow-up to Ida, a question you had, and I did not do a very good job sharing the information. So I've come back to just share a little bit more information. So on the right, that is what the ballot is going to look like. It's a preview. And so I have for you some information. So you have up close. So this is what it's going to look like. And then there's the explanatory statement. So that's the ballot.
Yeah.
And then there will also be an explanatory statement, which was, I think, what you were asking about. Like, what's the context of this? And so we are limited in what we can share, the number of characters and the message. So this is very similar to what it was 3 years ago in explanatory statement. So this is the explanatory statement front and back. So again, I apologize for the delay in the response, but I think this is what you were asking.
Have we seen the pro statement?
Yes, yeah, we have, and that's something we can, yeah, I don't have that.
No, sorry, just
Yeah.
curious.
Okay, so, yes, so next item is, and we shared in a community connections, you should have received that all addresses received in West Shugal, our community connection, which had a lot of information. Les and his team did a great job, I felt like, with that communication. One of the things that was highlighted is how can you participate as a community member? We have a lot of support. We've highlighted people who have contributed funds in kind, and you see that information. So this is the East County Citizens Alliance that recently sent out in their communication a number of programs that they are supporting or ways they are supporting in our community. This highlights their contribution at the high school with mentors, tutors that meet with our students. This identifies, I think it was last year, there were 447 sessions, 71 students, 20 volunteers meeting regularly with our high school students in the library. Thanks to Mary Andriotti, Barbara Seaman, who's connected to East County Citizens Alliance, and all of their volunteers. So thank you to ECCA for all of their support for our students. Portland State has looked at this. There's been some research on just like the overall, contribution to our students, this spillover effect that it not just helps with the class they're working on, but other areas of their studies. So we appreciate that. We know we've talked about Read Northwest at the elementary school for students and helping students through adult volunteers. And Jane and Sadie, you know very well that because you've been volunteers working with students, and it's really about helping them experience the joy of reading. So we appreciate all those hours at the middle school. We have Club Unite. So we have community members who are helping with Club Unite on Thursdays. And it's pickleball. I understand. I heard recently that culinary is the favorite one. So there's a variety of activities that students have as a result of Club Unite and that support. So just continue to appreciate the community's involvement. It is a team effort and it's really important. So thank you to everyone who helps. Okay. Thank you. We're ready for the legislative.
On to the next.
Yes.
All right. All right, we are on to our legislative conference.
Yes, so Ida, myself, and Wendy Morrill attended Friday afternoon in Seattle and Saturday morning. There were, we were all together in a large space for some keynotes, some panels. And as I mentioned, the budget and preparing for the legislative session, which is a short session, but it was loud and clear that there's between two and $4 billion, I believe.
Yeah, they said $2.3 billion deficit that they have to close.
Whoa.
And early learning and
Higher ed.
higher ed were the
We're
two
at-
areas. And so when we think about early learning, that's really TK.
Mhm.
And what we're hearing is a potential for reduction in those TK seats that are available. So for us, we have 80 that we've had the last 2 years. And so what I've heard is like a 25% reduction in those seats. So, and then higher ed. So I appreciate Ida being there and Wendy Morrill. Wendy, who's our Hathaway principal and who's also our principal or our president of the Principals Association and who has an interest in learning more about what's happening legislatively. So having her there, and there was a breakout just for principals and how they can advocate. So we had a leadership team meeting yesterday and she talked about what she learned from that breakout session. So Ida, share your experience.
Yeah, I think I learned a lot. I think about obviously the budget situation, but then also, for example, when you dig into some of the legislation that's been passed previously, like for example, in insurance. So I went to a breakout on MSOCs and they mentioned, you know, the increase in insurance. I think statewide statistics, it's increased 111% in the last year. And really, but that's tied to some of the policies that were passed due to they went away with statute limitations for sexual abuse, et cetera. And they were like, well, that's good policy, but there's a direct result of having insurance increases and they don't fund for that. So, and state, you know, utilities have gone up on average across the state 26%. And these aren't really, you know, the funding isn't really keeping pace. And then there was the MSOC increase by 10% recently, but then, you know, you start to dig in and they start taking off the top for all these other things. And suddenly you're not really left with 10% at all. So there's a little bit of a shell game that ends up going on as well. So all of that to me was kind of fascinating to understand the linkages between some of these statistics and the causes, and then kind of how policy and funding and all these things are connected. So at any rate, I think I learned a lot about kind of the process in that way. And then also just the idea that advocacy doesn't have to be something really special. And in Stevenson, they have been working on a levy, and they mentioned their representative helped write the levies. I'm assuming they were talking about Representative Waters. So it just got me thinking that we could start including our representatives in more things that we do, like invite them to town halls. We can incorporate them in things. Maybe not right now while they're in session, but certainly afterward, including them in mailing lists, and just start considering them one of the Washougal community and just trying to get them involved. So
And they showed interest in wanting to do that as well.
Yeah.
From what I've heard from them as well, so
It also might
it's great.
presenting a more unified front to the general public. Someone might show up because they're represented there, not for the school board, but if everyone's there and, you know, listening to her, that's potential higher draw. I mean, it still would be nice to have more than 4 or 5 people.
yeah. So
Great, thank you.
yeah.
Appreciate you being there. We had opportunities to sit together during the keynotes, the panelists. So one of the first panelists was 2 representatives and being asked specific questions and their response to, and just this idea of sharing, and they each have different perspectives. One has more availability of time than the other one did. And so back to that point of including them in a mailer. So I talked to Corey about that, how that is very easy for us to do, to send our community connections information to them. A parent square communication, like recently that went out, that could be shared with not only the legislative representatives, but also their assistants.
That's who's gonna
Yep.
read it.
And so always including the assistant. And so, and I think there's different levels of, and different representatives probably read more or less email than others. We all have our different ways of communicating, receiving this communication. So it's, I think, knowing your representative. And again, ours, I believe are interested.
Yeah.
We
Always
have,
do.
we have a lot of access, I believe, to Mayor Stevie or Representative Stevie. Senator Harris has been just, I think, really receptive and available. And so same with Representative Waters. So this is their busy time for sure, but I still have confidence that they will receive our communications, they will read our communication. So it was very helpful. I know that this was the second one I did. Last year I learned more. This time I think because I have more understanding about the position. And when I go to something like that and understanding, plus I think they did a good job. Last year was the first year of that format. This was the second year of the same format. So I think WSDA, WASBO, and WASA also learned and how they organize the best way to organize events like this. And the sessions were very helpful. I did sit in a session that was like a 60-day a plan during the session on advocacy. And there were people in the room that didn't agree with how or the agencies, the organizations that I just listed are how they are attacking or going through this session. I continue to believe that the way that we communicate, the way that we reach out, and we try to, as we seek understanding, is the best way. And so I appreciate this board and how you work through challenging situations, how you are interested in learning more, and how you ask the tough questions when you have question, but you also are very supportive. So it's just a different way to do something. And so it was a learning opportunity to see how other people across the state don't necessarily agree with everything that is happening, and they have a different way of sharing that communication. So
Can I ask a follow-up question on the TK funding? Currently, it's free for any student in the district, TK, or is there?
So we have 80 spots,
Right.
and students and families go through a process, a vetting process to get one of those spots.
Right.
But those that are in the system, yes, have one of our TK slots, it is free of charge.
I wonder if there's a way to do kind of a hybrid model so we don't lose the kids. I mean, having 80 TKs likely will mean 80 Ks and 81s, and having 60 might mean 80 Ks or might mean 20 kids.
Yep.
End up somewhere else. I just wonder if would it be possible to come up with a hybrid funding model.
Well, yes. So I believe that this is the time where these conversations are happening. We know based on this that we need to prepare. So if there aren't 80, there's 60. And so when we get into our budgeting planning, we will talk about that specifically, how we are adjusting now based on this information for 2026, 27. Back to what you're describing is, at the level where these decisions are made, what can be done that might mitigate the reduction of the number of seats for the reason it's beneficial. And State Superintendent Reichdahl was on a webinar today discussing the impact of TK on the results. What we're seeing now, this is 4th year of this program, and we're seeing these positive results. Also knowing that what was stated about the governor's budget and the impact and what we heard. So, we are in that, we're kind of responding, reacting to potential decisions. We won't know for 58 more days what the final outcome will be. And then we have to react, right? So we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, are we on to the next?
was that it? Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for going and sharing that with us.
That's excellent.
Next up, we've got our discussion regarding our timeline and process for District One appointment.
Yes, so I have information. I think you've seen this, so you want to.
Yeah.
So just looking at the timeline, and I believe you've had access to this. What we've identified is January 30th will be the Jim's final day. We will post for this as we have when there's an opening. And so individuals will have an opportunity to apply for this position. At January 14th date, you'll see advertise the vacancy. And so then there's a timeline once the official resignation has been established. So if you have any questions about this, I think we've been very successful the last couple of years in filling the position. This is the same format that we've been following. And so if you could go down to, we have an application window from January 14th to February 11th. And then, so they will be submitting those applications as we collected them the last time. So our system that's online, they submit their information within that system. If they're challenged with accessing that system, then they can hand deliver the application. We can give them an application. So that is a possibility. And then when we get to the point where we're going to be interviewing the applicants for the position, we've budgeted a little bit less time.
Sure.
Because remember, there was an abundance of time.
Yeah.
So we made an adjustment, so there isn't as much time. So when we get to the questions, then we may want to reduce the number of questions. Okay,
Okay.
and so that information we will, if we haven't already, we'll share with you. These are the questions that we've been asking. Okay, any questions about the timeline?
I didn't realize your area is different area. Like I didn't realize like how far up
West.
these, yeah.
Right up to Paul's
Yeah,
property,
it's crazy.
basically.
Basically,
Anyways.
I'm right on the boundary.
Okay, next up, we've got our
So
executive.
I'm just wondering, so is that, so February 24th is the interview
Yes,
date. So just making sure you have that.
Yeah.
Recognized. Okay, excellent.
We gotta show up for that meeting, is that what you're saying?
Well, you'll get a special call.
Did you?
One time.
What the?
but you will not we'll let you forget ever. You know
I
that-
did not mean, I wasn't like, didn't mean to look right at you. That's what you're saying.
Gonna remember.
Well, now it's, okay, do we have anything else on that guy? Sorry. You're funny. Okay, next up, we've got executive responsibility 5, staff compensation.
Yes, so we have shared with you our employee groups.
Yep.
The compensation. There's information there. We will be bargaining with our certificated staff. We will be bargaining compensation only with our administrative staff and our coaches. So we will keep you updated. Once we approach that, we will have a session where we discuss preparing for bargaining. So that's coming up. So do you have any questions about this ER? If you do, just let me know. So yeah, other than the numbers are updated, it's very much the same process and document as last time. That doesn't help, Paul, you getting that information, but it's just this particular ER. We just keep updating the.
Yeah, no, I understand how we're going through all the different ERs, right?
Yeah.
But I still appreciate reading them.
Great,
Next-
thank you.
Yes, next up, we've got executive responsibility 7, which is our budget.
Right, so I've asked Shalice and Les to come up here and join us in going through, so we're gonna go over this ER and the budget update really together. And this is a work session. It's really important, I believe, for us to spend a little bit more time on this particular ER because the 26-27 budget is crucial. The survey that we're gonna go through that Les is gonna show you that goes out to the community. We want you to see that. We want to just spend some time in that not only the ER that Shalice has put together, but also the budget for 26-27. We went over this with our building leaders yesterday in a similar way, which is really helpful for them to understand. It's really the second time they've had a look at that one pager that just identifies all of the components to the budget planning process. Shalice and Les, take it away.
ER7 is budget planning. It goes over our process and development. The key takeaway is that we strive to have a balanced budget where revenues either exceed or equal expenditures, and we strive to maintain our healthy fund balance. And so the presentation really goes along with ER7. So on the first slide, we're starting to look at our 26-27 budgeted enrollment. So when we're looking at our enrollment, we look at several factors. One could be legislative changes. Like we talked about our possible TK reduction. You can see here that in TK, we're going to budget for 60. Right now, assuming that that reduction is going to happen. If it doesn't, at that point, we can pivot. If it does, we can be looking at other options, preschool, any different models that we could do. The other one is loss of our FTE. We've been seeing our declining enrollment. It is going to continue. And as our enrollment goes down, our state dollars go down. So we have to keep that in mind in order to maintain a healthy fund balance and to keep a balanced budget. Another one is CBA, so collective bargaining agreement obligations. Like Erin mentioned, we're going to be bargaining with the WAE, our coaches, and our principals. So we'll have to see how that goes as the year goes on. So we have to take that into consideration when we're budgeting this year, because most of the time the budget is going to be done or mostly done before those CBAs are closed. Increase in MSOCs. So we know inflation goes up every year, and then there's also our insurance costs that go up, and sometimes we don't know how much that's going to go up. So making sure we're keeping a conservative budget so that we don't come to next year and go, oops. It's better to budget your enrollment a little bit conservatively and low, and in January when we true up to our real enrollment to have an increase in dollars than in January to be losing dollars, and you've already signed out all of your teacher contracts. There's not much you can do at that point. Yeah, and so we're budgeting and looking at TK to 12. So right now, not looking at WLA. We're budgeting 2,374 FTE. We're going to budget WLA 32 FTE, coming to a total of 2,406. And the reason why, so our WLA right now is at 47. So it seems like we're budgeting a little bit low, but it fluctuates a lot. And this year is our first year being 9 to 12. So I don't have a lot of history to look back at to see how much we fluctuate. So I'm trying to be conservative with that number. But I'm really focusing on the TK 12 because that's where we see the reduction that is going to keep going through the year. So TK to 12, that's a 4% reduction from our current enrollment. Just as a budget. Do you have any questions on this slide?
So I want to add a couple things. So thank you. So on the call with the state superintendent today, he knows that districts are using this process. And he said, so I know you're going into the 26-27 school year, thinking about your enrollment. We know that we have enrollment decline, not only in West Jubal, but many of the districts in the state are experiencing a similar decline. And so we are budgeting conservatively. He emphasized multiple times to budget conservatively. So I appreciate Shalice describing how we budget conservatively. And as a result of this process, I think we are in better position because the last 2 years, we've been able to say, actually, we had more students than we thought we were going to have. And part of it's because we're budgeting conservatively. So I appreciate the details. I will say, even though we heard from Marley the challenges with AI, I will say that this particular slide was beautified as a result of AI and Shalice's interest in utilizing that. So I understand the costs, but I did want to point out, this is,
It looks pretty.
it does, and it's organized well, the theme of the river, right? So you see it, right? So I just want to say, good job.
I just like to add, I went into the presentation and was like, man, Erin went AI happy. And then I went through the rest of the slides and hit the same button. And it's like, okay. But it does look very good. And I don't even know how it happened. You just hit beautify and then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, seriously, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so next slide. So this next slide looks at where we currently are now. So the darker lines are the FTE that we have confirmed through December. January is not fully done. So then the darker are just an estimate through the rest of the year. So far we haven't really been seeing a decline in enrollment too much, like as much as previous years. So that's really positive. So I kept it mostly steady. And the positive is from what we budgeted for 24-25, we're actually up 79 students from budget.
Wow.
When you're looking at actual enrollment, 24-25 versus 25-26, we are down 64.78, so 65 students, which is a 2.6% decline. So that's what I look at when I'm budgeting for 26-27, is right now TK through 12 is down 2.6%. And we're going to conservatively budget that it's going to go down 4%, hoping just like this year that it actually is going to be higher.
So in the Columbian yesterday, I think it was, there was an article about student enrollment in the state.
Yeah.
It identified La Center, Bellevue, and a few other school districts in the state experiencing decline and also an increase in some cases or more stable. So we're seeing over the course of the year, we're seeing our enrollment steady, but from year to year, there's this decline. So I don't know if you saw that. I think it was out of the Seattle Times and then the Columbian today.
Okay, so then the next slide shows 15 years, I believe. The next slide shows 15 years of fund balance. So 11 years are past years, and then us looking at striving to maintain the board's goal of 8% with our minimum fund balance requirement of 6%. So this you can just see past years and hopefully us staying at an 8% fund balance is the goal during budget planning.
The strategy of budgeting low will help us
I think
keep that
so.
up without stressing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's always better to budget enrollment low. Like I mentioned, coming to January and having to make up the deficit is never a good place to be in. I think sometimes you can too conservatively budget, but since we're really declining, I mean, it's a moving target and we have all these unknowns that are going to happen throughout the year. That being a little bit more conservative is probably the best option.
And because the majority of our budget is in personnel, when you commit to a contract, it's for a year. And certainly with the certificated staff, so we're not nimble, we're not able to adjust. To your point, then in January, and as the state superintendent talked about, when the enrollment trues up, like we present to them a budget and they go off of our enrollment projections and then it trues up later in the year. And so when that true up happens, if we're off, then we've got to make significant, and that has not happened in the last 2 years, where there was a significant gap in the funding that we projected and where we ended up. And then also continuing to look at, and Shalice is doing a really good job of looking at all of our budgets and trying to update along the way, how are they adjusting? And we're looking at culinary, we're looking at transportation. We're also looking at other programs and seeing how are we tracking based on what we thought was going to happen.
The one thing we also do is, since the budget is typically pretty much done in June when we present the preliminary, once the summer starts happening, we can kind of see where the enrollment's going to be. We did this year during the summer, we started adding back some items as we could see that our FTE was going to come in a little bit higher. So even though the budget might have been a certain amount, we knew those dollars were probably going to come in. We were able to add some items back, even though they weren't in the budget. The budget is just an estimate. Okay, so then the next slide is our financial priorities. So as we go through like an ER7, we're trying to achieve a balanced budget where revenues, expenditures do not exceed our revenues. We're maintaining a healthy fund balance with the board goal of 8% and not going below the policy of 6%. We align staffing to enrollment, which is where we're looking at how our enrollment is decreasing, and with enrollment decreasing, staffing decreases to align with it. Maintaining financial transparency. So we do the survey we're going to talk about in a little bit, the listening tour we just had, all of the communications to try to keep community engagement going, and then advocating for our state funding, to talk to our legislators about the places that are either unfunded mandates or where funding is just low, like the prototypical model. So the next graph, I also was in my 24-25 year in presentation. So this just shows this year's budget, so 25-26, and all the different categories that our expenditures are in. You can see that we focus on our staffing needs, and then you can see the increase in MSOCs and service contracts. And those buckets will most likely increase every year as inflation increases and the needs increase. And like Ida talked about with insurance increasing. Any questions on? So the next slide is our budget development timeline. This was the second page in your ER7. So you can see it a lot larger than this. And the main focuses I have would be the legislative session ending in March, and us being able to see what comes out of that and what we might need to pivot and look at different ways to save funding. The next one would be June 9th, we'll be presenting the preliminary budget. July 10th, the budget is posted on the website, which means anybody can access, they can see the budget presentation, and they can see that very, very large F-195 is what it's called, the 200-page budget documentation. And then August 25th is where the board will be given a recommendation to adopt the budget at that point.
If you look at April 28th, it identifies the modified education program. So we've done that the last 2 years. I recommend that we keep doing that because there's many unknowns. And so identifying, so the numbers, the range that Shalice had shared earlier of potential reductions, it's a smaller number, but I think it's still important that the board just be ready for that, that process. Because again, if we don't do it, then May 15th is a crucial date for certificates, staff, and those contracts.
How does this timeline line up with the negotiation timeline?
Well, it's a great question. So we are hoping to negotiate earlier, start earlier, with this idea that we might be starting school earlier. There's that as a consideration. There's also that we typically don't bargain in July. So, but we also want to know what the legislative session is going to bring.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like looking at language before the session is over. Typically, you like to start bargaining with the full package,
Right.
So it's clear from front to back what we're going to be presenting
On the table. And
what's on the table. Thank you. So this is pretty consistent with what we've been doing. The timeline, which is published on our website, which again, back to transparency, I think we're doing a pretty good job of saying this is our process. And Les is going to talk about the survey and just what's in the survey and any revisions we've made, and a little bit of like the feedback we got from our principals yesterday on the development of the survey. But thanks for the question, Jim.
And then going back to the modified educational program resolution, As multiple districts have started seeing, declined enrollment, financial struggle, it is a recommendation to do that every year because just because a resolution is approved, giving the district authority for up to so many FTE or however the resolution is done to reduce, that doesn't mean that reduction has to happen. It just gives us the authority if we come to it and it's needed. Okay, so then the last slide just talks about our community feedback, which we're going to go over a survey that's going to go out in January, and noting that our next listening tour is March 10th at 9 o'clock at Gateway Church.
The first time we've done it at Gateway.
It is, yes. Yep.
Okay, any questions on the presentation?
Good job, Shalice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Okay, so as part of the opportunity for families, community members, students and staff to weigh in on the budget development process, for at least like 5 or so years, we've done a larger budget survey where we go out and ask the community to identify priorities. We're modeling this year's survey on what we've done the last 2 years. So we're asking very similar questions with the idea that that lets us track across time where there are changes in those. And then to use the survey as an opportunity to kind of teach people about the budgeting process. So when we send out the survey, it'll come with be introduced by an email that provides kind of the district's context. So more about, we'll reiterate the same messages we've talked about before around the declining enrollment trend, and we have 3 more years of kind of the steeper decline before we think it will kind of flatten out and then just be normal, maybe still slightly downward, but that'll depend on growth in the community. But we know that the next 3 cohort of students, so the graduating seniors for this year, next year, and the year after, are significantly higher than the kindergarten cohorts that are coming in. And we are confident that there's not, like a huge group of kindergartners out there because those kids have already been born. We know what's out there. So we're kind of broadcasting this range of like $650,000 to $850,000 as the potential for reductions. That's lower than it was last year. It's significantly lower than it was the year before. It is still a reduction. A piece of that is the giving up the one cohort of, one section of TK. That's maybe as much as a quarter of that.
Yeah, so when you think of 20 students, it's around 220,000 in state funding, right? That goes away.
So a big piece of that is us saying we don't think we're going to get that funding, and so we're planning ahead to say we're not going to have those staff members doing that specific thing.
Right.
We're aware of some retirements. We have a handful that people are really strongly broadcasting that they're going to, that this is their last year, and we're excited for them to kind of move on to their next adventure. That is likely to provide capacity for us to do most of the reductions and hopefully all of the reductions through attrition, so people aren't losing their jobs. But we will do the modified education program because that gives us the latitude to kind of pivot. So the survey will kind of offer this set of information along with links to the website. It has that same pie chart, so people who have come in and weighed in on the survey process before will recognize this. It's color coded the same way. People who are paying attention to what it's done before will note that the administrative wedges, so those really light blue or kind of maybe grayish wedges, are getting smaller. The teacher wedge is staying about the same size, so it's been hovering at that 49 to 50, maybe 51%. The PSE wedge is about the same size. What is increasing are those green wedges, and like I had talked about earlier, that increase in insurance costs as well as the inflation, the cost of fuel, and some of the supplies and equipment is really what is putting a bunch of pressure on the district's budget, as well as inflation and job costs. So it asks people in kind of 3 groups to rate things. They get a Likert scale. One of the conversations we had yesterday with our building administrators, and I think they kind of latched on to the idea that there's this gigantic cut. And obviously all of us have been, or almost all of us have been through this process multiple times. we had to remind them that the scale is not like cut this, cut it more, cut it a whole bunch more. It's like consider budgeting more, like there is an option of, like, we need more of this.
Right.
And I think, like, it was very much like, like, oh yeah, that's right, we're not, it's not assuming everything is being cut, that's not the scenario that we're in.
Right.
And that the community, the idea is to identify what are the priorities that the community wants to see. The district administrative team and the board work together to try to, to add to, as well as, consider making reductions. Hopefully we're getting and using the feedback that way and not just like, okay, what's on the chopping board.
Right.
So there's 3 groups. It identifies a bunch of the kind of more nuanced programs. There are things in here like the elementary music art library specialist time, which is something that's different than when the way that other districts do things, and that's something that typically is a really high priority for families. But we continue to ask that so that we can make sure, because we do get that question of like, why do we do that? Well,
Right.
actually, our survey data tells us that's a really valuable thing from the perspective of the families that we serve. And then the kind of the third grouping in this that kind of goes through some of the other things that are we ask people for their role, not their name. So it is an anonymous survey. It's done in SurveyMonkey, which is not a system that when we do a survey in it, that we have a way to get back to who people were. People can choose any of the roles that kind of fit who they are. And then we have that opportunity for people to share free-form comments, like we've done the last couple of years. At the end of the survey process, we'll share all of the raw feedback from the survey, as well as all of the, probably hundreds of pieces of feedback. We'll do an executive summary for you all so that you, get that set of kind of perspective as well. Like what's the high level change that we saw from the last time that we did it, as well as when, what's in the free-form comments that are like key things that we should pay attention to. But in, the spirit of transparency, we do give you all of the survey results. I think in some of the years there have been expletives in them, and you've either reminded you all that like, we're giving it to you the way that they put it in there. And not changing it.
Raw.
We want you to feel like we have integrity to the process, and that we're not vetting, or like keeping what we're telling. So it's really important to me from the community connection part of this that we have integrity about that process, and that you get to see everything that we share. Even if it's not stuff that we would have said maybe that specific one. So okay.
Was there anything we eliminated from this survey that we historically have been asking?
Yeah, so the one thing that we took out was preschool, but then that just came up as like maybe that's a thing that we need to consider adding back if there's a reduction in the availability of TK, like funded TK slots. The pre-K preschool program might be something that we want to add back if we think that's going to be a desire. I will say that we only serve about half of the students so our kindergarten cohorts are about 160, 160.
Yeah.
So even with the 80 slots, we're only serving half of those families. The rest of them, they might be a stay-at-home parent, they might be using some of the other childcare providers that are in the area, or like a private, provider or family. Like there's all kinds of other options. And TK is still relatively new, so I don't think that it's likely to be like directly connected to us losing those kids like forever. But
Well, on that, losing their education, I mean, I think it provides such an opportunity to help that little 4-year-old start learning.
yeah, OSPI's so sorry, I'm getting a little off topic, but OSPI's website does have some really incredible resources
Yes.
from they've been studying TK like really aggressively over the last 3 years, and they've been sharing really actively the change in kindergarten readiness. And if you're familiar with the OSPI report card for our district, you can go in there. One of the metrics is kindergarten, when it's a kindy. Chris Reichdahl pronounces it kindergarten. And I'm now copying that. So kindergarten, readiness in Washougal has really seen a big uptick with the advent of the TK program. And you can see this really big spike in the level of our kindergarten students who are meeting the 6 domains of readiness by the end of their kindergarten year. And a lot of that is attributable to those students that are part of the TK program. So it's very, very effective.
Les, so we're talking a lot about preschool TK and stuff. What if we book in that conversation and like running start on the other, complete other side of it, right? Like, are we asking, I can remember the survey from last year, but are we asking anything about that side of the equation as well? Like, and my specific question is the community
Right.
saying that should be a budget priority?
I mean, we could ask that question. We don't actually have control over running the budget for running this fund. So when a student and their family make the decision to go to the Running Start program, they're like 93% of their funding goes with them. So that then gets paid to Clark College. So Clark College actually bills the school district for it. We can ask it, but it wouldn't like our board doesn't have any purview over it, and so it's kind of like asking a question about like the military funding.
No, they have
data, but it isn't something that we control.
they have college and high school too, right?
Yeah, so college and high school.
So I'm just looking at both of those, right? And go like, if we can keep the students in the high school, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so that would be something that we could work on some wording for a question. I just don't think it fits into this scale of because it like to my knowledge, like we estimate what we think the Running Start enrollment is, but the budget amount for it is going to match whatever the actual enrollment is. It isn't something that we're like going in and adjusting or get to.
We claim our Running Start enrollment every month to OSPI, and then we get the funding for the Running Start, and then Clark College gives us an invoice, and then we send the money back to them. So we're really just the flow through of the dollars. Yeah.
But I think the idea of then college in the classroom, which we've added Eastern Washington courses,
Right.
and there is a cost to us adding more courses in the training, but in some cases, there's a portion of that comes back to the district. So I hear what you're saying, and I wonder if how might we word a question about increasing more of those opportunities? I will tell you, Mark Castle is on it. And he recently spoke to me about other teachers that are interested in adding English classes. And so anyway, I think we can talk about like how might we incorporate a question like that and see
priority.
Yes, to see where it might fit. Yeah. As we have multiple programs like dual language, and so so then we'll see where we
Right. Yeah, so we could add like college in the classroom and advanced placement as options
advanced placement,
like the survey, so that people
excellent.
because those are things that we budget.
Can you see those going together?
Yeah,
Like,
I would kind of put them all together, right? Like it's all,
And there are reasons students choose to go to Clark and leave high school.
Yes.
And I would argue that some of those include opportunities they're not seeing in the high school, and that is our purview to provide that.
correct.
Yep. Well, the idea, yes, absolutely agree with that. And the earning college credit. Then going into the financial, the savings of earning that college credit in high school. And then, so absolutely. And then, so the more opportunity we can provide students, and we are, I understand that for families that choose that, also the impact of having a lot of remote classes.
Right.
And so like what's being lost and what we heard Marley talk about, like what's gained when you're going to work every day, when you're going to school every day and you're interacting with your peers.
Yeah.
So I think I like that idea of adding that question.
Then it lets us know how much we can dig into it, right? Like if we get survey comes back and nobody's lying.
Right, exactly.
It's not worth our time.
Yeah.
And then we'll share the survey the same way that we normally do. So we'll send it out to your parents who are to our district families. We'll also put it up on social media, the website, we'll do a press release about it. To try to, give multiple people an opportunity to weigh in on it. We'll leave the survey open usually for at least several weeks. And then I think it's mentioned in the budget timeline that we'll bring back the summary of it. That'll most likely be probably the February work session, or the February one. It's typically when we have that ready and then bring it back.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
guys.
I did have a question on the ER.
Nope, sorry.
So just, I know in there's number 11 and 12, it talks about allocations annually for like reserve, or one is for the capital projects fund and
Yeah.
another is for essentially like curriculum. I'm just curious, do we do that? I mean, it says expenditures are budgeted.
Yes,
Is
so
that-
that was something that was previously put in the budget. And then when there were budget cut,
Mhm.
it was reduced. And then when we did the budget this year for 25-26, the supervisors that were over those programs, so operations and maintenance and curriculum, instead of setting it aside, they put it within their full budget of the areas that they wanted to spend. Like, I know we're gonna do a math adoption and it actually needs to go into this section. So instead of putting it in a bucket, I'm just going to put it in that part of my budget. That makes sense.
So they're
So the money
Budgeting
is
for-
there, but it's not in a set aside bucket. It's in their whole budget.
but it's being saved kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just wanted to see it differently so that when they're looking at their overall budget, they see that the money is there instead of having to look at a whole different section.
And at what point do we decide to spend that? Like, is that just we're waiting for example, the new curriculum to come, and then when we decide to purchase something,
Yeah.
we'll just use that fund
Mhm.
instead of having to budget extra?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That was a good question. All right, excellent. Thank you.
Okay, last item of the evening is policy 3207, which is, I can't see.
So it's our harassment, intimidation,
Yeah.
bullying
My
policy. Yes, so 3207. So this is a current policy we have. I believe you were sent the revisions in red, the strike throughs. So the big idea here is this is a student to student complaint.
Yeah.
That requires a level of investigation, a very structured process. It involves communication, that which is really facilitated typically by the building administrator. It does involve Connor and his role in tracking these HIP complaints. So again, this is a current policy that we have that was updated through statute. It's House Bill 1207 and WSDA's model policy language. So you'll see throughout it emphasizing student to student. We have other policies.
It doesn't read that way though. Student to student.
No.
So so that's this is really a clarifying update. So when we have a complaint, we have HIB, which is when there's a complaint about a student against another student.
Mhm.
That's the intent. When we have a complaint about a staff member, there's a complaint against a staff member policy and procedure.
So it's not this. Got it.
Yeah, so that's a different policy. So it really didn't, and there's a accompanying procedure and a structure to that we follow. With timelines, with initial step, typically of the individual working with the individual that impacted them in an adverse way. So we also have a resolution of a complaint, which is really staff to staff. We also have a civility policy. So this just is really, I think, clearly identifying that HIB is when a student has a complaint against another student that's harassment, intimidation, and or bullying. We also have discrimination that can be ongoing at the same time that we have a HIB complaint. We could also have a discrimination complaint. Jane, I think you have a question.
So I just want to be clear. we're trying to make sure that this policy clarifies that it's student to student and not like volunteer to student,
Yeah.
faculty to student.
Yeah.
I think I align with you, I'm like, I don't know that this policy does that.
It doesn't when I read it.
Yeah, like when I read it, it definitely talks about discrimination and harassment of a student, but I don't feel like it clearly outlines that it's by another student, unless I'm missing that that's outlined.
So you're looking at the
With all the red.
red,
Mhm. Yeah, I don't see anything that says,
bullying of any student. Chapter 28, that it identifies students again.
yeah, but
Um,
it's bullying of a student. It's not talking about who the aggressor is. anywhere.
Yes,
Okay.
that was my clarification point,
Okay.
right? It just needs a sentence that says. that
Yeah, by another student or
Student to student.
where where the aggressor is another student. Unless it's somewhere further down, but when I read it as this is overall like any sort of bullying of a
By
student or
student.
harassment by anyone.
Well, no, but bullying of any student, and that's how I read it. And then down here, the policy and the accompanying procedure do not govern harassment, of any employee, volunteer, parent,
Right, but that means that the parent or the volunteer is being harassed. It's not talking about who is doing the harassment or the bullying. So it is outlining that this is for students, but it's not outlining by other students. It's outlining
Okay.
by anyone. And it's saying like, if you're a teacher and you're harassed, that's not covered
Okay.
here.
You wanna?
I think we need more
I gotta
language.
read it
Yeah,
again.
we're
You and I
aligned.
are saying the
gotta
same
read-
thing.
But I agree with Paul, one sentence up.
Sure, okay, so I will, so we will go back and we will look and see if it's possible in our revision from WAS's policy
Yeah,
that we missed something. If we didn't miss something, and then there's, to your point, we just identify where that would be
Student to
stated,
student, yeah.
student to student.
yeah, I would literally do the first sentence of any student by another student.
Another student. I see what you're saying.
And then you're
After
done.
the red,
Yeah,
yeah,
boom.
and that's it.
Erin, is it possible that the definition, that like in the bullets in the box at the top, it says the definition of aggressor is updated? But it actually doesn't have it, is it?
In the procedure. Yeah, so it could be in the procedure that we don't have here, so we can look and see if aggressor says student.
Yeah, because it does say up top, like
Yeah.
aggressors updated, clarify that the process should be
Yeah.
used for student to student. So I think you need to add.
Yeah, and I don't have a copy of the procedure in my notes, so
Yeah.
we will follow up with that in the communication to
Yeah.
you. If it's in the procedure, and in most cases, the policy and procedure are on the website together.
Mhm.
Together.
It'd be 3207.
That's still
P.
Good point. No, thank you. Gotcha. So, yeah, so we'll definitely, we'll follow up.
Say it again.
Yeah.
We'll follow up on that because it can also be in the model policy.
If it should be in this policy.
Sure.
I feel pretty
Okay.
strongly.
Yeah,
It's
which is,
just that
yeah,
little phrase,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just right.
By another student,
by another student.
by any.
Okay. Thank
By
you.
any student, yeah.
Any other questions about this?
No.
No,
Okay.
crystal clear.
Okay, so I will follow up with you on that. And then, so in the next reading, if there's a revision, you'll know in advance.
Okay.
We'll discuss it. Okay,
Awesome.
great.
Do we have anything else to say about that? Okay. All right, it is 8:03 and I'm ready.
We're going to exempt session. Yeah.
Oh, and we're going into exemption.
Yeah.
I need to put that first. So we're not adjourned. Do I
Yeah.
adjourn first? Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Great.